As my bones are scraped and rubbed, my spirit circles where this work is done. A true descendant of the Kroran mother, through generations my genes have come. And so the genes complete a tribe. Wonderful experiences will be written, perhaps from the bones of Uyghurs scattered to the world, blossoms along the Taram, perhaps. I went to a 3-day road trip with my dad to his homeland, the village called Baiseit. We left our home right after the Dhuhr prayer and were in the front doors of my grandmother's cousin, Gülperi's mama. Our first stop was the village called Chilek, right when we heard Adhan calling for the Asr prayer. After finishing my prayer, I spent some time in the backyard. After doing the Fajr prayer, I sat in front of the windows and enjoyed one of the most peaceful sunrises in my life. With a beautiful morning spent with our relatives and a delicious breakfast, we were off the road to the homeland of my dad, the Baiseit. Historically, these lands were situated by the Uyghur refugees who ran away from another dictator of China, the Mao Zedong. Inhabiting these lands, they had no idea that the Soviet Union was just about to start. Our first stop was at Qadi Mama's house. Давай.
Ең пайдалық люкаға şu.
Çok açık olsun. Nasıl yapayım mı?
Our next stop had to be at the grandfather's. However, my dad met his old friend from school. After that emotional meeting, we decided to see the school of Baiseit.
Репрессия была, его репрессировали, расстреляли. Получается, его использовали, потом расстреляли. Ну, вот такие парки. Да, именно черные ворны, знаете почему?
Они дубы любят, да?
Нет, не так любят. Onları Mecnun Tav bana Mecnun Tav iyi. Ama onu Sida.
Then my father told me how my grandmother was killed by the communists. Apparently, my grandfather was under the repression in 30s, so the communists were trying to find him. However, he had a chance to leave the country. Unsatisfied with the fact that he ran away, Red Army decided to burn down his windmill. After a few days, an old friend of the grandfather found some gold coins in the ashes of burned down windmill. These money were then delivered to his mother, my grandmother. She decided to put it in the bread, bake it, and then bring it her own to her son. Unfortunately for herself, on the way there, she met 2 soldiers of Soviet army. They made her give away the bread full of coins and let her free. However, they put 2 bullets in her back right when she started running. After a little break, I convinced my dad to go and see the river. I remember my dad took me to that river once when I was 10. We were both disappointed when we reached the river. First of all, it was 10 times smaller than it was 10 years ago, and the water was so polluted we could barely touch it. Unfortunately, that was not our own disappointment. The river valley was full of garbage. It was a disaster. I could tell my dad was so sad, looking at the childhood memories buried under these loads of garbage. He could barely talk. On the way back, I noticed this old beautiful garden full of apple trees, so we decided to give it a visit and maybe treat ourselves with small fruits. Even a little donkey had his own portion of apple.
هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم.
Точно.
Sen rastalım. Açık verken bir Oğuz kitaplarım var şey.
Заботился о них, однако при всем том, не могу я выбросить из памяти печально известный опыт, самоотверженно работал ради идеи, не еще.
Поедем?
Karsam ben o nimden çıkıp nimden jümedip ne kısa ben nimden aslında kapsızdan nimden.
Burası.